Hi, my name is Tim Jones. I set up Mental Health Action Group Sheffield as a day centre in 1992. I'd like to talk about the Care in the Community Act 1983, but before I do so, I want to make an historical reference. All the psychiatric, the lunatic asylums as they were called, was privately owned. The Bedlam, which is short for Bethlehem, which is now the Imperial War Museum, was run by the Monroe dynasty. And there was that much corruption in these private asylums that the state had to take control. So in 1860, there were a bill through Parliament called the Lunatic Asylum Act, and the first actual state asylum, if you like, was Broadmoor. The first block was built in 1863 and it housed women. Reason being, the infanticide, even the Victorians didn't recognise postnatal depression as they do in more modern times. But it was unnatural for a woman to kill a child. So what happened was the first block was held females, 1863. The second block, what was built in 1864, male inmates. And these were transferred from the private institutions. Obviously, wind back a century, wind forward and wind back as you would, because it has gone backwards, the Care in the Community Act. So people now are not getting the adequate treatment due to the fact that there is not enough secure units or psychiatric facilities because of obviously the care in the community. And this is why we've having issues in recent years over individuals what are suffering from either schizophrenia, bipolar, which used to be manic depression, related conditions. They're not being adequately monitored, and people obviously have lost their lives. These are all isolated cases, but because the media being the media actually blow it up, so it does actually go against the average person with mental health issues, what is not a threat to society. It's all political, as you can imagine. So you got your Care in the Community Act 1983. The actual patients were actually moved obviously into the community with no adequate support. These people, some of them were institutionalised. Many women were actually incarcerated due to the fact they were pregnant or they had children out of wedlock, and it wasn't obviously the morality in this country. Also, prior to 1967, anybody, a male who was deemed homosexual, was actually housed within either prison or a psychiatric facility for what they call conversion therapy, which they do practice in the US. So basically, it were inadequate, the care in the community. These people couldn't budget, they couldn't pay the bills, they've never paid bills, some of them in their lives, because they've been committed to the institutions from basically being used. They've lived with their parents. The parents have took them to the local GP, and they've gone through this system as young people. So when you got your Care in the Community Act, these people, some of them have been in institutions 20, 30 years. So how can they adapt to living within the community? And this were all basically to save money. a lot of these Victorian institutions were actually, they were a lot of land attached to them, so they were, to use for redevelopment and that. So they were quite expensive, kind of real estate, if you like. So basically, they sold the large institutions. They demolished them, or if they were listed buildings, they kept the listed part, and they built housing estates on the land. So it was quite a, revenue for the NHS. But that was not ploughed within the community. Day centres, which they provided initially, were closing or partially closing. Now you have no day centres. So basically, I really wanted to emphasise that, and also in 1955, the blueprint was written by Powell, and it was implemented by Margaret Thatcher's administration. So that's just a basic outline why we had asylums, and later the care in the community, which has failed. Thank you very much.